Cuckoo. We're Isabelle and Kim, girlfriends living in France, chatting about everything going on in our lives. Come hang out with us while we cheers with an Aperol Spritz, swap stories, get into some deep talks, and share what we've learned along the way. If you like our podcast, please share it with your friends and make sure to subscribe and leave us a review.
Yay.
And you can follow us on Instagram at cuckoo.pod.
Perfect. Well, hello. I know it's been a month.
It's been a long time. Sorry. We've been hit with another school vacation.
And a lot of things in between, but yes.
And like holidays. Now we're into the May holiday season. So I don't think we have a full week of school until the second week of June.
It's crazy.
And then the third, then school's almost over.
Yeah.
So it's like.
So right now in May, there's a lot of like holidays in France. So like this week
4
is
bank holidays.
Labor Day, right?
Yep.
Thursday. Then next week is the end of World War II holiday.
Yep.
And I think they have off that Friday as well. So it's like a
Thursday,
Friday. So that
yep.
becomes like a really long weekend. And then there's something
There's
the next
something
week.
the next week too. I don't know what it is either. We need
But
to check our
it's
calendars.
also like, I feel like it's kind of confusing for the kids because they're like, do I go to school today? Or which day am I? It's just, yeah. But anyways, making it work. And I was saying the positive is a lot of quality family time.
Yes, lots of quality family time. I went with just my daughter to the U.S. for the 2 weeks.
Yes. How
We
was
did a
that?
little girls trip. It's our second annual April
So
spring break
cute.
girls trip.
Just
we did
the
it.
two of
Yeah,
you?
just 2 of us. We didn't do it last year, but we did it the year before when she was 3, and we had so much fun. And then we did it again this year, and it was just like a full blown girls trip. I think she was so ready for some male energy by the end of the trip.
She was like, where's my dad? Yeah.
I know, but we
Cute.
saw my mom. We saw 3 of her sisters.
So fun. So all your aunts?
Yeah,
Okay.
we bopped around. We started in New York, went to New Hampshire, went down to Boston, went back to New York.
Fun.
It was a great time. And like a lot of people ask sometimes, like, how do you is it really hard being away from family when you live abroad? And yes, I do think it's hard.
Yeah.
But the amount of quality time you spend together when you see each other, I feel like sort of makes up for it. And I don't wake up and I'm like, oh, I miss my mom so much today. I don't know, because I feel like I see her.
Maybe if she's listening, she might not want to hear that.
No, but I think she would agree. Like we see each other like
totally.
probably 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
But when we see each other, it's for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's a long time. And you're like really spending a lot of time together during those 2 weeks. Yeah.
And so I just feel like it's such a nice, and it's like, even for my daughter, like it's full immersion. And I would say like their relationship is just as close as the relationship she has with my husband's mom, who we see way
she lives
more.
in Paris, right?
She lives in France. So we would see her and even when we lived in Paris, I feel like their relationship was still equally as close. So just and we don't do a lot of FaceTime in between. We do like sometimes, but I've just always found that FaceTime is hard for kids and it's confusing and I don't know. It's just hard to keep someone's attention. It's a little easier now, but just if you're planning on moving abroad or whatever, don't worry. Don't overthink that so much because it does like kind of end up working out.
Yeah. I agree and slightly disagree. Like
tell me your situation.
For me, I think that's like really the hardest part about living here is, and look, to be fair, like I've never lived near my parents since university. So it's been like a really long time, but I think it's more mental, to be honest. Cause I agree with you on the, like, for example, we just had my in-laws here and it was the first time they visited us. We've been here, it'll be 2 years in August. And I got to know like my mother-in-law like way closer than I ever have because we got to spend like such great quality time together. And same with the kids. Like normally when we visit them, it's kind of like we're bopping around to different places and it's not like this like super one-on-one time. So I agree with you in that. I think the part for me that's really hard is like psychologically knowing how hard and long it is to like get back there. I think for some reason, I'm always worried if something happens. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, it would take me like 12, 14 hours just to get there. And I know that's in my head.
Yeah,
but
I think it's in your head. Because like when my dad got sick, honestly, like my mom called me and was like, you need to come home right now. And
you did.
Went online. I bought like an Iceland Air flight that was ridiculously expensive, stopped in Iceland. And I was literally there the next afternoon.
Okay. So you think it's like, don't worry about that.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about that.
I think it's also.
Even if you were in the U.S. living in another state.
We were in California
and
it would take me like 6 hours. Yeah. So I guess it's not.
I think it's
that different.
It's not that bad.
Yeah. But also I think knowing I wouldn't.
But it is true. Like, you know, we are far. Like,
we're far,
there's
for
a big
sure.
ocean.
Yeah, there's a big ocean.
I feel like it's different. Like, it's probably not that much farther than California, but like, you know, you're not
psychologically,
in the same country.
I think the time zone also kind of throws it a bit. But just like an example, I'm going Memorial Day to visit Chicago to see my brother who had a baby and his wife, and then my sister and her kids. And I was like, oh, I should bring the kids. But I'm going literally for like 4 days just to kind of like pop in and say hi. And I talked to Isabelle about it, and she was like, do not bring the kids. And I was like, oh, I'm feeling guilty. I should just bring the kids. And she was like, putting your kids through that, like, I feel like for the kids, it's very like taxing to go through that much travel. I mean, like, they're okay, but I just think it's like,
it's just more on you.
Maybe that's what it is.
Do you know what I mean?
I was like, I am exhausted.
The kids can do it. They'll be so exhausted, but it's more just like, if you're only there for 4 days, I know. Like, you kind of just, it's so much easier to operate as like a solo person.
Always.
Not having to think about anyone, and you just like do what you want. And so what if you're tired? But when you add 2 kids into the mix.
Yeah. It's for sure.
It's just, you know, you're more tired. Maybe they don't sleep. Like, you won't enjoy as much.
No. And also I think we forgot about the way back.
Also you're going in July. So I feel like if this was the only chance to see them and you weren't going to see them till Christmas or
no, we're going for like
year,
2.5 weeks.
Then I would say, of course, just take them. Life is short, whatever. But you're going like a month or two later. After. Yeah. So I would say,
okay, thank you. Okay. So back to that. So yes, no, I do agree. I think for any of you thinking about moving abroad, like, don't worry so much about that. Like, I think it's hard for me sometimes, but I also know, like, look, to your point, we can get back quickly. Like, and I do think the relationships are still like intact, and everyone seems to appreciate it, and also gives people a really cool opportunity to like come visit Paris France, and like a free place to stay. And they fly in and out of Paris, and it's great. So yeah.
And I guess it is true. Like, the plane tickets can be very expensive, but it's sort of like that instead of going away on a vacation, like, it sort of becomes one of your vacations.
For sure.
And it's not like an additional budget, really. It's more just like money that you would spend on vacation. You'd probably put some of it towards going to see family, and then family will come see you too.
Yeah, totally. And it's also easier, I think, in some ways, probably with you guys too, like, people can stay with us, whereas like that was not really possible in the US. We had a much like smaller and it wasn't super, I would say, accommodation friendly for guests. Whereas here, it's pretty nice that like guests can stay and still have.
Okay, and you have the pool house, which is
we have a pool house that is great. Awesome. That people have their own like privacy. So yeah, anyone who wants to visit. No, I'm just kidding.
And you went to London.
Yes, so we went to Paris and then took the Eurostar to London, which was our first time doing that. So the Eurostar, I'm sure a lot of you are aware, but it's like a 2.5 hour fast train that goes directly from like the city center of Paris to the city center of London. And everyone was like, it's so easy. It's so easy. It is easy. But I would say since Brexit, the amount of security you go through,
I haven't
passing
been on
through
Eurostar
2 different countries,
Brexit.
It's a lot. Like, I mean, I would say it's kind of like going to the airport. Like, you have to get there 2 hours in advance. There's 2 different passport controls.
Wow.
You need to download a separate visa now, a visitor's visa for the UK.
I wonder, do you need that like for flying too? Because we didn't do that a year ago, but it must be new.
I don't know. I think it's maybe new, but they definitely were like, you don't have this. Like, you absolutely need this.
Oh my gosh.
So I think it's for flying
Worst nightmare. Realizing you need a visa.
And then you got to deal with the app and like, anyways.
Oh, man.
But overall, London is amazing. Like,
London is like the most kid-friendly city ever.
I would say if anyone's thinking about like what city to take their kids, like London should be on the list.
For sure.
It was so easy and great with kids, and there's like everyone's just so kid friendly there. Like, all the restaurants,
super kid friendly, and you can eat dinner at 5 o'clock.
Yes, it's amazing, and like, they're like so nice to kids.
So nice.
I mean,
and
they were
coloring books.
I was going to say coloring book crayons. They made them like
it's like
special
the American
mocktails.
Treatment.
Oh, totally.
And there's just like so many big parks.
Yeah,
and
the
museums. It's a great kid friendly city.
And there's like even. Like, I would have normally been a little nervous to take my kids to like a 2.5 hour Broadway show, but we went like a matinee and we saw Matilda, and there's fun. Like sound effects and like lights, and the kids were so into it. It was so cute. Yeah. So I would highly recommend. And I think we maybe just hit it when the weather was also really nice. So it like helps that it was sunny, and we stayed in like South Kensington, Chelsea area, which is kind of where you stayed when you went. And I'm so glad you recommended it, because it's just so pretty there. Like I
really
just
pretty.
think it's a really beautiful neighborhood to like walk around. And I don't know, the hotel was great. Like I think the kids, just from speaking French like all the time here, they were like, what? Everyone's talking to us in English. It was just like a big shock. Yeah. So I do think, the kids were like, can we stay in London longer? Like they really loved it. So,
I mean, England, I feel like would be such a great place to live, but it's so hard to get a visa to live there.
And it's also like as expensive as the US.
I'm always so surprised by how expensive the city is, but it's more like the public transportation costs that always shock me because I spend like over 100 euros in public transportation, whereas it would take a lot of public transportation in Paris to get to 100 euros.
Yeah,
like I think it's almost impossible.
That's probably
true. But you have all those like bigger trains that go to like the further out towns.
You're right.
Plus you have the tube, and it gets really expensive.
Yes, the tube itself, I was surprised how inexpensive it was. Like kids are free. Like that never happens. So they like walk through. I
feel like it's free in France too.
Are they free? I don't know. I
don't think kids are free. I think it's only till 5.
Oh, maybe we only took it during the day. I was like, great, kids are free. But we ended up also taking taxis, which are expensive. So it was. But the kids love the like British taxis.
Oh my God, they're so cool. And the buses.
Like all of it was just a very cool experience. So anyone who's thinking about it, book your trip to London. It was very, very cool.
And you can add on so many trips after that. You can go skiing from there. You can go to Greece easily.
Now I kind of want to go to like the countryside of the UK. Like I'm very interested in like
really
exploring
charming.
The country. It looks amazing. And I've heard such good things. So.
But you can basically get a direct flight to any city in Europe from London.
Yes.
And there's 3 huge airports.
Yeah, that's so true.
You can go anywhere. There's all the direct, like my parents, when we went to Greece a few years ago, they went to London and then flew there to Greece, direct flight. Great little add-on.
And it's also easy, I think, if you're coming from the U.S., like an English-speaking airport, I think makes a big difference.
So true. Never thought about that.
Because I think even like my parents and same with my in-laws, like in and out of Paris, they're always like, nobody speaks English and it's overwhelming and the signs are in French. And this way, it's like, even if you have to ask someone, like, where's this gate?
Yeah.
They can do it.
Less pressure.
So good to know.
Yes.
All right. Shall we? Isabelle has some really, really exciting news to share. I can't believe we waited till like 10 minutes in for this exciting news.
Well, maybe you guys already know, but I am pregnant.
Yay! So excited for you.
And I'm really excited. But we thought that this episode we could talk a little bit. So this week I'm 20 weeks pregnant officially.
I can't believe
halfway
it seems
done.
So fast.
I know.
Not really for you, but
no, honestly, it feels like just a second ago that I found out I was pregnant. So I thought we could talk a little bit about like getting pregnant and just kind of like the beginning half of pregnancy in France. And I thought it'd be interesting to talk with Kim because I had my daughter in Paris. So I've only had the experience of having kids in France.
And
Kim
I've
has had both of her
2 kids in California, in San Francisco.
So I thought we could kind of talk about a few of these things because there's a few things that I found just because when I talked to my friends, there were just certain things that seemed so different. So I thought it would be fun to talk about that.
I think it sounds like a great topic.
Yeah. So let's
Great. And we may have a part 2 of this as well as you go through.
Yeah. I feel like after I give birth, we could talk about more like that kind of stuff because there's a lot of stuff that happens after you've given birth here that when I had my daughter, it was amazing. I felt so well cared for, and
it's like the complete opposite in the U.S. I felt
I feel like that can also. Oh, Kim, that's terrible. But I feel like that can also be an interesting.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Episode. Okay.
Okay, so tell us about your journey. I think let's start there.
The
journey of like you wanted a second baby.
Yes, I would say, in all fairness. So I had my daughter 2 months before the COVID closed the world down. Yeah. So I think that which was honestly, I feel like it was almost a blessing because we had so much time together, but it was also really hard because I was in Paris. In France, we had a very strict lockdown. You couldn't go outside. Like you had to have a permission, like a form filled out saying where you were going, and you were only allowed to leave to like go to a doctor's appointment or the grocery store. I mean, I was just out walking all day long, like without a form, just like I need to be moving.
Need to be outside. Totally.
I can't be inside anymore.
So hard.
So I feel like the start of that, I felt like it was challenging to have a baby at that time. I mean, now that I look back, I'm like, it would have been so much more challenging to have an older kid, like a toddler or like a 4 or 5 year old, keeping them inside in these Paris flats. I honestly can't even imagine what these parents did.
It was me, basically. I had a toddler and a baby, and both of us trying to work from home.
Yeah.
With like no help. It was awful.
That's really
So I'm
tough.
with you.
And I feel like that kind of scarred me in a sense that I genuinely didn't feel like, and then I found the toddler age to be pretty challenging.
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe there was like a blip in between like baby and toddler where like I could have imagined getting pregnant, but it quickly disappeared when two rolled
when
around.
the terrible twos came around. Yeah.
And I would say like I genuinely didn't feel like any kind of bit ready to have another kid until my daughter was probably 3 and we got married then. But then very quickly after that, my dad got sick. He had been sick, but then his cancer came back and he passed away. And we kind of had that year was my daughter started school, had a really hard time at school. We decided to move to the South. And so it was kind of this like
you had
big
a lot going on.
Transition year. I was trying to get my company started.
Totally.
And so the timing was just not right. And I didn't want to force it. But I will say, starting from like last January, I was like, okay, I think I'm really ready for this. My daughter turned 4.
Yeah.
And I got pregnant very fast with her, like instantly.
That's awesome. And
I kind of figured that would happen again, and it just didn't happen. And I wouldn't say I was like really actively, but I didn't really think I would have to like actively
trying
for it to happen. And then it kind of like the months went by, and I don't think I also like looking back, I don't think I realized the kind of stress that starting a new business.
1,000%. You're a woman entrepreneur starting a business that's also working. Like,
and so we had launched our company like 3, and actually that was a very stressful time because we had launched at the end of 2023, the very end, and then it was kind of like a slow launch. Yeah. And then we had this crazy, I mean, now it doesn't seem crazy compared to our bills that we have now, but we had this $10,000 Amex bill that we literally couldn't pay.
Yeah.
And we didn't raise money for this. Like we put everything we had went into this company. And we were like, how are we going to pay this bill? Because then if you don't pay, I think we had like 1 year free interest and our period was ending. And then it goes to like 27%. Really and we were like, oh my gosh, we just launched. We're already in financial ruin. And so it was just like a lot of stress at the beginning. Totally. Anyways, thankfully I had a video go viral and we easily paid off the bill. Good. But that whole year was just such a learning experience. And then I don't know if you remember, and if you follow me on Instagram, maybe you guys remember, because I had no idea what it was, but I broke, actually.
Yes, you talked about it on the
We were doing the podcast that day, and I was like, I just feel like I'm getting this full body rash. And I broke out into, I forget what it was called now, but I had these like welts, these red welts all over my body.
Bad for you.
From head to toe.
At least they weren't on your face.
They weren't on my face. They were on my scalp. They were on every other part of my body. And the doctor was like, it's some kind of something, and it's triggered by stress. And I was like, so I think that just sort of shows like the
level of stress.
I think my body was not in a calm, relaxed place. And so then like that took a few months to disappear, and it disappeared completely, which was great.
Thank God.
And I hope it never comes back.
Yes, across your fingers.
So itchy. And then like school started again in September, and I was like, okay, like this has kind of been a long time. So I went and saw my doctor in Paris, and I show up and I was like, look, I've been like wanting to have a baby and it's not happening. Yeah. And he like looked at me and he was like, okay, like we can.
Did he ask like how long you've been trying or?
Yeah. And so he like did an exam. He was like, everything's fine. I was like, well, do you think it's like my age? Cause then I was kind of getting in my head. I'm like, something's wrong. All of a sudden, cause I had my daughter when I was 31, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 37 now. Like, just like the years sort of just flew by, and I was like, maybe it's my age. And
you're so young. Like
when 37? I said that, but he was like, what about your age? Like it was no big deal, because I feel like I've just heard such a different story from
for sure
my friends in the US. Like when they're a certain age, it's like you're a geriatric pregnancy.
Oh yeah, I was a geriatric.
And so I think I still have this very American mentality. And he was like, he looked at me like I had 5 heads, and he was like, you're 37, you're healthy, you've had a child before, like you're fine. Go home, you're completely fine, like it will happen. And so then I decided to do acupuncture. Not like, I think I went into it because I was like, oh, it'd be good for fertility. But what I think it really did was just
de-stress you.
De-stress me.
Yeah, totally.
Acupuncture is the best thing I've ever done.
That's so awesome.
And honestly, I started it in October, and then I got pregnant in end of October. I got pregnant in December.
It was like very quick. Like that wasn't very quick.
But I have to say, like I actually need to go back because I can feel the like stress coming back into my shoulders. We've had a very heavy month again.
Oh no.
But the way that it just like relaxed my whole body, I feel like I keep everything in my shoulders and my back. And every time I would see her, I would come home and I would just be like, oh my gosh. Or like a day or so later, I'd be like, I feel like $1,000,000.
So awesome.
So I really think
that's amazing.
That helped. I don't think
so natural.
I don't think it was like the fertility thing, but I think it got rid of all this kind of stress that I was holding on to. And then that allowed my body to just relax and be in, I think your bodies like know what they're doing. And I don't think they want to carry a child if you're carrying a lot of stress in your body.
People don't talk about that enough of like, they like look at every other factor, you know, it's like, what are you eating? Like, what is this? Like, are you taking these vitamins, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, if you're like stressed out, it's a lot harder to get pregnant. I mean, it has to be, because think about it, like your body's like already in sort of like fight or flight mode, you know, and then you're now like, your body's probably telling you it's not really at a good place to like get pregnant right now. And I think it's so important to be, and it's so hard to be like in a chill place when you really want a baby, you know?
Totally. For sure.
It's like the worst kind of combination to try to be
My husband had like 3 sit downs with me and he was like, you just like need to like take like, there's a reason this isn't happening. Like figure out like what that reason is.
Yes.
And I was like, well, you know.
Yeah, of course in your head you're like, oh no,
But he was so right. He's always right.
He's always right.
But he is.
He's listening, so yeah. But that's, I mean, I think that's like such a good journey, and like I'm just so happy that it happened for you.
Yeah,
like,
me too. I'm really excited, and I'm excited about our like my big age gap between.
I think it's gonna be awesome.
My daughter and the new baby. She's so excited.
It's so cool.
She's
and
like,
she's so aware. You know, which is awesome.
She's come to appointments with us.
And
she's like felt the baby kick.
So sweet.
She wants to name the baby Unicorn though.
Oh, of course. That's so sweet.
Don't think we're gonna go with that one.
I think, I think it's like nice that also your doctor in Paris was so like relaxed about it. Like I do feel like in the US, at least my own experience, and please like write in comments or let us know what your experiences have been like in the United States or other countries. Like for me, like I didn't start trying until 36. And like I was told right away, like I was a geriatric pregnancy, that if I wanted more than one.
That's just like such a stressful term.
Oh my gosh. And like if I wanted more than one baby, like I should make sure I like have both of them like under 40. So like I had all this stuff in my head, or they were like, if you're not ready, like let's talk about freezing your eggs. Like, and I mean, I got married at 36. Like I like got off birth control just like before we got married, thinking like, it's probably going to take a long time. Yeah. And kind of same as you, like my first one, like I actually got pregnant. Like I realized now that I was pregnant, like on our honeymoon and came back because I was like, I'm feeling really awful and sick.
Jet lag.
Yeah, I thought it was just jet lag because we'd gone to Thailand and like came back and I was back at work and I was like, oh no, I'm definitely pregnant. So we had a baby like literally 9 months after we got married.
Gosh, so fun.
But the second one was definitely.
But you were like, so relaxed and happy. Like,
I was so relaxed. I
honeymoon.
I had 2 weeks off work. Yeah. Like I was just like in a really good place, and so it just like happened. But then, like I knew we wanted a second, and it was so much like harder for the second. And like I was like 39 when I had her, so like that they were very much like the doctors were like, okay, if you're running into problems, like here's all the steps we can take to like help you get pregnant. And I just know so many women that are on this journey, whether it's like IVF or all the different like medications you try, et cetera. And so my heart just goes out to all of them because I know it's like a lot. And anyways, thankfully, like I ended up getting pregnant, but I think
it's like one of the worst things when you like know you want to be a mom. And
I know, and I have so many friends going through it, and so my heart just like goes out because I know it's like, I mean, it's such a, it's. I just wish there was an easier way to like this process seems for my friends that are doing it like so incredibly challenging.
And then when you're in a system that's like making such a big deal about your age, I feel like that just adds
adds the pressure,
extra level of stress and worry. Like even my friends, like all the testing and all of this and that like I feel like that's just I don't know, and I have all this in my head too because I feel like I'm so
through all this
checked into the American way. So like even like the geriatric pregnancy, like I never would have learned that term if I hadn't lived in the US. But like even when I was getting my nutrition degree, like we talk a lot about like pregnancy and the life cycles and life cycle nutrition. And it says like in the book, like I remember when I moved to France, I was like, if we're like gonna have kids, we need to have them both before I turn 35.
Wow.
Because I had in my head, like you don't want to have kids after 35 because
crazy?
It's like the risks go up like exponentially. And you just have all these like things in your head.
And fear.
And I also think this like kind of messed with me a bit too. Because I really didn't think that I thought I'd probably have like 3-4 years in between kids, but I never thought I would have almost 6.
Yeah.
In my head, like when I was thinking about,
right.
But I also thought I'd be married at 27.
I was gonna say, I don't think you could. So many of us like plan out this whole life in our head, and it's like never made-believe works out scenario. Like that. Yeah.
But I definitely had all this stuff in my head too, and I feel like that just doesn't help because
it doesn't help.
There's what's more scarier than like one, like not being able to have a kid if you want one, and 2, having a kid that has a problem because you're old. Like those are just really anxiety provoking thoughts.
I do think like. It's so much of that is so fear driven though in the US. Like I'll just give an example. Like, so I've gone to the gynecologist now twice here in France, and I have 2 children now. They're 6 and 8. And I was like, oh, sometimes I still like dream about a third baby. And even though my husband's like, absolutely not, like find a new husband. No, anyways. And so I was just curious, like, so I'd asked the gynecologist in France, and I've done this twice now. And I was like, I'm 42 when I like talked to her about it. And she was like, I know all the risks and my age. And I'm like, I'm just curious, like, what would it be like in France? Like, is this possible? And she's like, I have no idea why you're asking me this question. She's like, just go home and sleep with your husband. She goes, why are you so worried about your age? And it's just such a different mentality.
Such a different mentality.
Than like in the US, they would have been like, well, let me show you all the risk charts and this and that. And have you frozen your eggs? And the questions would be like nonstop. And I think it almost just like makes you sort of immediately like, this isn't going to happen. And I'm scared of what I would need to do to make this happen. And whereas here, it's just much more relaxed. Like they were like, you want to make this happen? Like go for it.
Go for it. I also think it's interesting because I looked up recently the average age of having your first child between the US and France. The US is 27 years old and France is almost 31 years old.
So it's
like
lot
30.6. So it's like a good 3 years older.
Wow.
So that got me thinking too, because I do notice that a lot of women, I'm sure it's the same in the US, but a lot of women have children here in their late 30s and early 40s. It doesn't seem like a shocking thing. No. And I feel like it kind of has changed everywhere just because the way things have evolved. Yeah. But I did think it was interesting that there was such like a full 3-year difference between the France and the US.
That is interesting. I didn't know that. I also find, and this could just be by like visual observation here, but I notice more people have like you, like a baby and then like a 6-year-old or 7 or 8-year-old.
Yes.
Like that seems much more common here where
really common.
You don't see that as much in the US.
You would see it between maybe between the oldest and the youngest, but there's always someone in the middle.
Right. And it's interesting even like there were more families, like when my kids were in preschool in the US, like all of our same families were 2 years apart. Like we were the same parents, like on the same schedule. Like it was literally like over half of the preschool class were on the 2-year apart journey. Because I think, I mean, part of it, I do think it's like, for me, I was like, oh, I'm turning 40. I better like quick have that second baby, even though I mean, there was no chance I was ready to have a second baby when I still had a baby at home.
Yeah.
Because I mean, 22 months apart is like a pretty close.
Really intense.
Close gap. And so I think then what that causes is like then later, for me at least, like I'm like, oh, the baby years, like they just like they're gone and they were so close. I don't remember, and you're so busy. And so
I mean, toddler and newborn, I like have so much respect for everyone with the 2-year age gap. I don't think honestly
or less. I have friends that have like my friend Heidi, 14 months apart.
Oh my God. I don't know if I could have done that.
I think you can do anything if you like, you get through it.
But I don't know how I would have come out on the other side. Like, honestly, like, I don't know. I'm not sure.
No.
But I kind of have a theory about this because I've noticed in the US, the 2-year age gap seems to be very popular. Yes. And it seems that like once your baby turns 1, people start to be like asking ready
you too. Like, oh, are you guys going to have
try?
A second? Yeah.
And I actually could see how like that could happen too, because a 1-year-old, I don't know, like at 1, like they're like sleeping through the night.
They're not like sleeping through the night at 1.
Yeah, I feel like 1 is like things start to get a little easier. They're not like, I guess like they start to walk, but I feel like there could be a moment.
I think you're in like dreaming pregnancy mode.
No, I feel like there could be a moment before you get to the 2s.
Maybe I had
where
that
it's
moment.
not like completely chaos yet.
Yeah, maybe.
Where you're like, oh, this is be a good time. But here the age gap really seems more commonly to be 3 or 4 years. And I think it might have to do with the fact that kids start full-time school here at 3.
That makes sense. Okay.
So I think it's definitely easier to welcome a baby when you have a child that's
already
in school from 8:30 to 4. Like school's 8:30 to 4:30.
Even at that young of an age.
At that young of an age. It's not like a 9 to 12 situation. It's
2 days a week. Yeah.
A full like Monday to Friday, full week of school, Wednesday afternoon off, but still it doesn't really change much.
Yeah.
So I do have noticed that like it's a nice time. It seems to be a nicer time to do that. And you don't usually see families that have 2 kids in the daycare at the same time.
Interesting.
Because they go to daycare up to 3.
Right.
And then, so like usually it's like a family will have like 1 child in daycare, 1 child in school.
And maybe explain, because I was just asking Isabelle this, I was saying like there's like different childcare options in the US that are all, I would say like prevalent, like whether it's daycare or nanny share or part-time this and parents and blah, blah, blah. Like, and here you were saying like crash is what it's called, right? The daycare system is like, is it somewhat funded or like, how does that work?
Yeah, no, I mean like, what did we pay? I think, so my daughter always did the part-time crèche, which was called Art Galerie.
Okay.
So they have the right to go up to like, I think 25 or 30 hours a week. So we did all kinds of different variations. When she was younger, she would just do like 12 to 5. And then when she got older, we did 3 full days. And then I had her home 2 full days, which was awesome.
Wow, that's nice.
It was just like such a nice balance because I was able to work. My company hadn't started yet then. I was able to work, but then have like 2 full days, like just us, which was awesome. So great.
So cute.
And so that was... we paid 400 euros a month.
A month?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
For that. So compared to the US, like I have friends that are paying like 2,500 for 1 kid, even more than that. And like for way less time. Like I think in New York, I want to say like 3,000 for just mornings, like 9 to 12
and
a month.
Daycare. Yeah. I don't know the current daycare
just
cost, but
really, really expensive. So yeah, it's definitely like we paid a part of it and you pay based on your tax bracket.
Interesting. Okay.
So I might have paid 400, but someone might have paid more than that. Someone also might have paid like
less than that,
75.
Okay. Oh wow, that's so interesting.
Which is just like the beauty of the French system, that everyone gets access to the same system, no matter like what your income status is. Whereas in the U.S., like everyone is not getting access to the same system.
Right. No, for
which
sure.
Which is really kind of sad.
Yeah.
The downside is it's very, very hard to get a place in crèche because it's highly sought after.
Right.
And there's just not enough spots. I was looking like where we are now. I think there's 60 spots in total for the whole town.
Wow.
And that includes kids that are already there. So like
oh my gosh.
maybe each year like 20 kids are going off to school. So they'd have 20 openings. So I had to sign up.
I was going to say, pregnant.
Week.
Yeah. Good for you.
And I was like, I'll take... I don't want to do Monday to Friday, but at some point next year, like, I mean, I'm working.
Yeah,
and
you're going to need some help.
Like, I was like, I'll take even an afternoon, 2 days, like whatever just to get, because usually once you get in the system, then if something opens up or they have an extra slot, like it's much easier to add on.
And how's the quality? Like, would you say, because I think it ranges, like when we were looking at childcare options, like I would say the quality of daycares is like dramatically different. It's all the same.
It's super standardized across the whole country. The food's like all organic. I would say it's very like almost Montessori based. Like they do lots of activities. I think you're pretty highly trained to be able to work there too.
That's awesome.
And the public crèche is known to be significantly better than the private system because there is a private system because there's such a demand.
Right.
But so then the other mode of like that's very popular is the assistant maternelle, which is a woman, kind of like a nanny. That you share. She usually has a baby, a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old. And then each year, like one kid graduates to school and she takes a baby.
So they have 3 at a time?
3 at a time. And like when you're in Paris, like you'll see them at the parks. That's very popular.
And then, is that funded as well?
Yes. Yeah. So that's like the same, it's like kind of the same thing as the crèche, but you're dropping your kids off at someone's home every day.
Got it. Okay.
So it's like kind of like
like a nanny share
mini daycare. And then people do stuff privately on their own too. Like you could have a nanny, but it's much more expensive.
Yeah.
Compared to these like costs you get there.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. I feel like in the US there's just a range of different types of options that you try to do. And like, I think what I'm experiencing, what I did experience, like we had a full-time nanny who was expensive for sure. But it was like kind of what we needed just because we didn't have family close. But I see a lot of like my siblings now doing a combination of like grandparents and some like a little bit of like daycare or a little bit of like nanny. Like it's kind of piecing together, I would say. But I know how this feels like when one little piece falls off, like the whole train is like off the tracks, you know? So it's hard.
But this also like brings me back to my little bit of a theory about the age gap thing is I think in the US, because the child, like you don't have childcare really consistently till your kids are full-time in school. Like you have to be paying for it.
You have to be, and you have to like figure out.
And so I kind of understand the headspace of being like, let's do this like back to back. Then once we're through it, we're through it.
I mean, that's kind of what like I was thinking, you know?
And like it makes sense. Like I think I would probably, and especially like with work and everything, it's like, okay, like you're already in diapers. Like we're going to have like 4 really
tough
kind
years,
of crazy years, but then like it's done.
Yeah.
And now like with a bigger age gap, I'm like, okay, it's going to be kind of crazy to go back to diapers and stuff. But I'm like, at the same time, I've felt really great this pregnancy because my daughter sleeps the whole night.
Totally. It's so different.
It's so independent and it's not that level of like physicality on my body. And I'm like, I can't imagine having a toddler and being pregnant. It must be so exhausting.
And you have to carry the toddler around while you're like,
oh my gosh,
huge, you know, which I was doing all the time. So
poor back.
No, it's fine. I'm like, I feel like it's so interesting for you to say that. Cause like now I'm like, I do feel like I'm completely out of the like rough stages of kids, like, and have been probably since they were like 4 and 6, I would say 5 and 7, now 6 and 8. Like these are beautiful, awesome years.
I mean, I think like since 4, it's
it's good. Yeah.
I would say like I'm dealing with a bit of like,
well, I was going to say into like teenage-ish. Yes. Even though they're like 5 and 6, our daughters.
Like a lot of
rolling eyes.
Yes.
Yeah. Same. I don't like it.
The like now, like sometimes she'll be like blah blah blah.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like,
no,
what?
No,
what do you
it's
mean
like not
blah,
okay.
Blah, blah. Like you can't do this. But this like little preview into the teenage windows.
It scares
and I'm
me
like,
so bad.
But other than that, like that's a whole different story. Than
I know we can't. I'm like, I get like scared of like what's coming. But I'm like right now, I'm just trying to like live these moments because they're so sweet and awesome.
So cute.
Yes,
the glory years.
The glory years right now. Oh gosh, don't let it change. Okay, wait. Tell us a little bit about, because you and I were talking about this, like the difference in like tests and everything you went through with your doctor when you were found out you're pregnant.
In France, you find out you're pregnant and then you go to, I would say most people, last time I went to an OB the whole time.
Okay.
Because I didn't really speak any French at all. And to me, I was still in that phase of like trying to find the equivalents of everything in the US in France.
Right.
And so I'm like, oh, okay, I need a doc. Like I want a real doctor. I don't want because my mother-in-law and my husband were like, oh, like you see a midwife, and I was like, whoa,
what does that mean?
Midwife, like a sage-femme.
Explain what that is.
I mean, there's midwives in the U.S. They're highly trained and they specialize really in like pregnancy and delivery, and so it's very like maternal, natural care, but it's it's medicalized too. Like I think sometimes people think like midwife and they think like at home birth and completely natural. Like I think it can be like
I confused it with a doula because I'm like, oh, you're hiring a doula, and you're like, no, I'm not hiring a doula.
Yeah, but I think there's more of like a doula-y vibe to it, just because it's a little more. I don't know. I just would describe it as a little more maternal.
Got it.
Like mother focused, as opposed to medical focused.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But so the first time I did a doctor and he spoke French and English. And I was like, I just want a doctor that I can go to and speak to in English because it was my first pregnancy. I didn't really know what was going on. And then this time I just made an appointment at, I think like 6 or 7 weeks when I'd be 6 or 7 weeks. So you just did
like an at-home test to confirm you were pregnant. Yes. But you didn't immediately like then go to the doctor to confirm with like the blood test.
They didn't confirm with a blood test.
Okay. I think that's pretty normal in the US. Like you would like confirm.
They did like
home.
a little echography.
Oh, already? Okay.
Yeah. I think it was at 6 weeks.
Okay.
I made an appointment with her. It was right before I went to the US. And they could like see that there was something there. And then I came back at 8 weeks.
Got it.
For another one. Yeah, and then 10 weeks. And then 12 weeks, you have like a bigger appointment. Yeah. And you definitely do like they do a big blood panel at the beginning.
Okay.
To check for like, I don't know, to see if you have like HIV and like find out your blood type and all those things.
Yeah.
But like I know like a lot of my friends are able to know off a blood test at 9 weeks that they're having a boy or a girl. Like,
yeah, same.
We didn't have that kind of a blood test.
And then you had, explain like what the blood test is versus like the NIPS test that.
Oh yeah. So then at 12 weeks, you're supposed to do the test for Down syndrome. And the one that they give you just to everyone is like a probability based. And so this is what I did last time. And I think when you get older, the probability of this, like, you get a score back. It's like 1 in something. Mm-hmm. And as you get older, the probability gets higher that you have a baby with Down syndrome. Right. But so there's also an option to have the NIPT test here, but I didn't know that. Like, nobody told me.
They don't
like,
even tell you that. And
they
it's
don't
like
even give, because it's
mandatory
paid for.
Almost in the US. Like, I feel like I was immediately given that with both babies.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have known that was an option. I just didn't know that was an option because then I did this test and then waited 2 weeks. And then she was like, oh, you have to redo it. You have to do this other test because you're at an elevated risk. And then the lab like messed it up twice. So then we're another like 2 weeks behind. I still don't have results for this. And it was really stressful. But I found out that I could have done that test in the beginning, but I would have had to pay like €300 out of pocket. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
You would have done that just for a peace of mind. Yeah.
That much. I probably would have paid more than that to not have this in my head for like 6 weeks.
Sure.
It took
I know
so
how
long
stressful that was.
to get an answer back about that.
Yeah.
So that's like one thing. I do feel like France, everything is more natural, less medical. But then there's moments like this. It's like, at least give people the option. And maybe it was just like my midwife, maybe other doctors or midwives would have, maybe if I was at a doctor who's more kind of medicalized, he would have given me that option from the beginning and just explained like, look, because you're 37, like there's a higher chance that the probability is going to be lower because it's an algorithm, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But still, like, I would say that was like one thing that was just like not, like, I wished I was in the US at that point because like all my friends are like, oh yeah, we did that at 10 weeks.
Of course. And then you know right
like,
away.
And you have like, no worries.
Totally.
Because there's a big difference between finding out something like that at 10 weeks versus
20.
Like, I think I found out at 18 weeks, which is like
it's
long time.
It's so late.
Too long.
Yeah.
So no system is perfect. But if you're in France and you're having a baby and you're over 35, I would maybe ask for it's called the ADT test here.
Oh, here. Okay.
I think it's ADT. Ask for the option
to know that like that's not just
because it is available to you, but the healthcare system will only cover it if you've received a low probability score on the other one.
Oh, so interesting.
Yeah.
And then tell us, okay, so you right now, like your first pregnancy, you had an OBGYN, which is what I think very common in the US, but now you're doing like a combo, right?
So now I just see my midwife. At the beginning, it was much more frequent. Then it was like 12 weeks. And then I have my 20-week appointment, which is the bigger. They do the scan. I think they check like the heart. And do you remember the 20-week scan? It was like,
that's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. And then I'll see her through 6 months.
Okay.
I think 6 or 7 months. And then you switch to, you have to choose a hospital to give birth in France. So you choose either a public or a private.
Okay.
Public is completely paid back in full by Social Security. Okay. Private isn't, but like most people have a top-up insurance. So I think I pay like around €100 a month for our like 3 family members for top-up insurance. So between the Social Security and the top-up insurance,
you can go to a private
I could go to a private and have it.
Is that what you're going to
do? Yeah, I decided to do that, but I don't know. I wasn't sure for a while because there's downsides to that as well. Because if you're at a private hospital and something happens, you have to be transferred to a public hospital, and that happened with my daughter the last time.
Oh wow! Because they don't have the like equipment.
Yeah, so like hospitals are rated in levels, and so like a big public hospital would be I forget if it's like 3 is the highest or 1 is the highest.
Okay,
but there's different levels, and so you do get transferred out of the private system to the public system if something goes wrong. So at first I was like, because I had that experience with my first pregnancy, like right after I delivered my daughter, she had to go all the way across town in Paris, like in a baby ambulance by herself.
What? That's so
And I didn't
scary.
get to see her till the next day.
That sounds horrifying.
Honestly, I was like so
out of it.
I'd been in labor for like 3 days. I was so like high off the epidural still that it was kind of all a blur. Like I slept the night, woke up and got in an Uber at like 6:30 in the morning and went over there. So it ended up like it was fine. She came back and we were very comfortable in the private hospital after that. But at first I was like, I think I'll probably do public. And then I got like a little
worried.
Not worried, but you know, the public hospitals in France, it's not that they're not nice, but they're just like just a little more, I would say hospitals here are a little more bare bones than the US to begin with. And I don't know. So I chose a private one.
Okay.
If of course, like if I have any kind of like complication or something down the road, I'll change to a public one just because it's probably safer.
That's so interesting. My immediate assumption, kind of like privatized healthcare in the US, like I was like, oh, the private one will be better. But like to your point, like it doesn't mean that.
I think like there's like great care, but they're just not like, I think that they're not like legally allowed to provide certain levels of, or they're just not set up to, like they don't have like a helipad. They don't have like all those like higher stress situation materials, I guess.
Okay.
So I had to sign up, and then I guess I'll switch to a doctor from that hospital in like the 8th month of pregnancy, because then you go in for a little bit more monitoring.
Okay. So you're not like, it's not certain who's going to deliver the baby.
So like when I did it in Paris, because I was with the OB the whole time, I chose him based on the hospital that I had chosen.
Okay.
So I knew like he technically was supposed to have delivered me, and his schedule would be like he would be at the hospital delivering people all morning.
Got it. Okay.
And then he saw patients at night. But he was like, the wait to see this guy, I've waited 2 hours one time because he was always so behind because like he was delivering someone.
Right.
Here, I'm not really sure. Like maybe if I went to that, like a doctor that delivered at that hospital from the beginning and only was followed by him, then maybe. But I don't really know if that doctor that you choose at the 8-month thing would be the one to deliver you, or is just like a doctor associated with.
It's so interesting.
The hospital.
I think like people place such an emphasis on like, it has to be my OBGYN, because I mean, at least from my experience in the US, like I saw the same OBGYN and like people talk about who the good ones are and et cetera. And like, that's the one you do all of your ultrasounds with, like everything with. And that's the one you like really try
to. You have a relationship with.
Yeah. And it's
that's
the one
really
you
nice.
like really try to make sure like they're the one that delivers the baby. Of course, it doesn't always work out that way. Like,
like mine was on vacation.
I was going to say mine, like I was in labor so long that like her shift changed, and then I had someone totally random.
Wow,
so but it's like the ideal would be it's that same doctor that you have a relationship with. But it sounds like it's.
You also said
different.
that you saw the doctor a lot during your delivery. Like
like
unless I'm like massively forgetting something, like I didn't see a doctor until the very like when I was ready to push, because before it was like there was an anesthesiologist and then it was just the midwife from the hospital.
So the midwife is in there like almost the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, like she had like me and probably 3 other people, so she was like, in and out, kind of like a nurse would be.
Yeah,
I think
I was gonna
in
say,
the US.
I think the nurses in the US.
And then like her shift changed, and like a new one came in.
Okay,
but then I didn't see a doctor until like the very last 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, I think mine just kept coming in and out, make sure everything was okay, like how things were progressing. Like they were really like the kind of like master of like directing the nurses around, being like, let's do this, do that. So I don't know. I feel like that's.
I feel like the midwives take a little bit more, what's the word? Not independence.
Authority?
Like they take that role of like being in charge. And like this, we're going to do this. Like at one point they realized that she was turned the wrong way, and that's why like I couldn't dilate. Is that what it is? Yeah. So she was like, okay, I'm going to put you on a yoga ball. We're going to like try to flip the baby. And like, that was all like from her.
Wow.
And she was like, if this doesn't work, then we'll probably have to do a C-section. So like, I'm sure she would have then gotten a doctor for his like, double check or whatever after that, but she was able, like she flipped. So
yeah, it was interesting. Also, one of the things the gynecologist in France shared with me is that C-sections are not very common in France. Like they do everything possible first to try to avoid them, whereas in the US, like I was kind of rushed to have a C-section, even though that was not obviously in my birth plan or something I wanted. But after a certain period of time, they're like, the risk is too high that they just immediately go to a C-section.
There's that like 39 weeks they want to give you a C-section or induce you, right?
Well, this is different. Like with my first, it was more like the time between when my water broke and then when the baby would have needed to come out. So they're like, it's not worth the risk. Like they immediately just put you into a C-section. But then if you have a second baby, it's like very like they really advise against trying to have then a natural birth after that. Yeah. Like they're like, just schedule the C-section. Like it's much simpler, easier, et cetera, et cetera. And they like want to take the baby a lot earlier. Like they asked me, am I okay at 38 weeks? And I was like, absolutely not. Like, because they don't want you to go into labor. And then because you have a C-section scheduled. So anyways, that was
there's
at
like
least
a big difference though between bringing a baby home at 38 weeks and
100%.
I brought my daughter home at 41.
I was going to say, and my son didn't like, I mean, it was my first, so they were hoping we were going to like go into labor. He was 41 weeks.
Yeah.
And my daughter was like 38 and a half, maybe 38 weeks. And so there was a difference, like you can in the baby and just how they eat, and they're littler. And so anyways, it was just interesting that the gynecologist that I saw in France was like, we try to do everything possible to avoid. And she's like, it doesn't have to do with cost. It's more just like,
it's a big surgery.
Know it is a huge surgery. And not to mention like the recovery on both of my pregnancies is really tough, from
I'm sure.
C-section. So, and you still like, I don't know. It's just it's not going to ever be like the same. Like I can still feel like one side if I turn and, cause that's where they pull the baby out. And so it's just so different, I think.
Oh my gosh. That is really interesting.
Yeah. So hopefully I'm sure yours will all be good here, but it seems good that they did everything to try to avoid.
Yeah. No, I feel like they're very, like they try to do natural things first before jumping right to interventions, which I'm sure happens in the US too. I'm sure there's like different scales of everything, but I will say like I've known a lot of people that were, once they got to 39 weeks, were really pushed to induce because they were saying like because of your age, it's dangerous. Like any time over 39 weeks, like leads to complications. And like imagining myself in that position, I'd probably be like, oh my gosh, like
of course,
like I want to avoid the risk. Right. But then what happens is they get like their bodies like are not ready. They have these kind of terrible inductions and they end up having a C-section.
Well, this is what happened to me. Like I was at 40-ish weeks. They were pressuring me like, you have to get induced. And getting induced is so unnatural for your body. Like all that Pitocin I was given and like they can't monitor like your contractions and if they're going to like be strong or not. So like, and it's just, anyways, it was a really traumatic experience, which then ends in a C-section anyways. Yeah. So it's like you go through all that and then your body's so worn out, like so getting into a major surgery. Like the recovery is tough.
I'm sure it's really tough.
Yeah. So anyways.
And the other thing that's different in France is you're like in the US, you're like full term at 40 weeks. In France, you're full term at 41 weeks.
So there's an extra
So there's this whole extra
gestation week. Baby. Yeah.
And then like, I don't actually know what it is at the hospital I chose here, but at my hospital in Paris, once you get to 41 weeks, you go in every day for monitoring because they want to like make sure that everything's okay and the placenta is fine. Yeah. But then they won't actually induce you until you get to 41 weeks plus 4 days. So at like 41 and a half weeks, then they would induce you, but they really give your body the time to go into labor naturally just because they say that it's better to do that.
Of course.
But look, who knows? Like I also like had complications because my daughter swallowed meconium and like maybe you could say that super long labor happened because we waited too long. Like maybe that wouldn't have happened. So I don't really know.
I don't know that there's like a right answer. I think the point of our episode here today was really just because I think Isabelle and I were realizing like her journey and mine in the US were like totally different. And again, these are two people, right? And we're obviously making some generalizations here on big things, but at the same time, I think it's important just to share like two people going through like just wanting to have babies and like what different experiences in different countries can be like. So let us know your thoughts though. Like we would love to hear.
This is interesting. Let us know. We can talk more about stuff like this.
Yes. And otherwise, also like I would be curious to hear other people's experiences too, if they
me too.
agree. And so
tell us everything.
And you'll have to give us an update at our next one. Well, we'll come back with another episode, I think. Obviously between this time and when you have the baby.
I have like a few. I've got like a lot. We have a lot more episodes.
Okay, good.
And we promise we won't talk about baby stuff every single episode.
And if this is not interesting, we know like this is a more limited audience than some of the other things we talk about. But we just thought it was interesting to us and important. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
So fun.
All right.
We missed you guys.
We'll see you next time.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.